right now.
Fabulous.
How absolutely, yeah, it's really wonderful. I'm super, super excited that you are here with me today. Let's just check. Are we live? Are we going out live to a beautiful
It says
family?
live, yes.
Yeah, a beautiful family here in Self-Love Evolution group on Facebook. Hello, beauties. Hello, you beautiful souls who are live with me and Tash in the webinar right now. And hello, you darlings in YouTube. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. I love you. And this is a really special meditation activation for Into the Light 2021 series. I have my very beloved, not just good friend, but absolute beloved friend and soul sister, Tash Mitch, with me tonight. Well, it's today for you. And Tash, I was just telling the others, Tash is usually from Brighton, or she lives in Brighton, but right now coming from the incredible island of Grenada. And Tash is an energy alchemist and founder of something called the Energy Institute. And Tash, you're just an incredible force of presence, in my opinion, and in lots of people's opinions. An incredible light. How are you? How are you right now? How are you doing in Grenada?
I'm doing good. I am doing good. It's this place is incredibly grounding, and so it brings you into the base note of Earth. So I'm doing very, very well.
You are actually the most grounded person I know anyway. So I guess that's where you go to get yourself all set up and get yourself sorted. Oh, hold on, let me just adjust the view. There we go. Now everyone can see you when we're both talking. So Tash, would you like to just give everybody a little bit of an introduction on you, darling?
So I'm an energy alchemist, and I am also rooting into soul-sourced business. And so mixing business coaching and energy alchemy. And the idea behind this is that resources and money and thriving in the hands of people who have a soul mission, have a social impact mission, have a big message for the world, does amazing things. And so I love seeing people thrive when they're on mission. And everything about the work that I do is to help people to do that, to thrive. There's sustainability and then there's thriving. And so for me, I'm kind of like really plugged into the thriving part, basically.
I've actually been lucky enough to be to have some kind of one-to-one sessions with you many years ago. And it definitely helped me. It was an incredible part of my journey. Anyway, I'm super delighted to have you. Thank you for being here, Tash. And so I've invited this beautiful woman with us this evening, everyone. As you know, this is the third of the series of 6 of the grand finale meditations and Into the Light series for 2021. And what are you feeling around that as well, Tash? What's your feeling of the energy that we're in right now and looking towards the end of the year as we're going towards solstice and going into 2021? What are you sensing?
Well, obviously this year has been a year of complete unknowns, and on an individual personal level, people have their unknowns, things happen that you weren't really prepared for or weren't expecting, or however it is you want to see that. But to have that happen on a global level has been really profound. So the pandemic is just, for me, an instrument of taking us as a collective into the great unknown. And how do you respond from that? And so there's been all these kind of responses. And I think 2021 is definitely going into a real rooting into the responses that you've been having in 2020. And when I say that, I mean, for some people, it's been, drastically trying to hold on. For some people, it's been drastically letting go. I mean, for me, the journey has been one of deep-seated letting go in ways that I could never, ever have imagined. And then to come to where we are at the moment, and it's like a complete and utter surrender to the knowns and the unknowns, So going forward in 2021, what I'm sensing for myself is a journey that's guided from a place where the unknown feels more like the norm, you know, which certainly
Yeah,
wasn't the
more
case
like a
before.
friend rather than, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like a constant companion or
The
something, you
unknown is
know?
your friend. Step into
Yeah.
the void. And on a quantum
Yeah.
level, you know, on that quantum awakening, how does that
Well,
feel for you?
the quantum field is something that has rooted into my being and into my knowing over the course of last year, and certainly in the last few months. And the understanding when I say quantum field is really that we live in a time frame, a time space continuum where there's loads of linear aspects to what we can experience. And that's the beauty of us being here. You know, it's the beauty of us coming here and having these experiences for whatever reason we came here to have this experience. But as a result of that, what you have is that we can all be sitting, you know, there could be 10 people sitting in a room. One person could be really blissed out. Another person could be having the worst time they've ever had in their entire life. Another person could be really neutral. Another person could be asleep. And so it goes on, right? And these are the linear sort of elements that we're having. And so for me, opening up to the quantum field has really been opening up to what it means to be creator or creatrix of your world, and really know and understand that that is a possibility, and that is the reality that we live. That literally is the reality that we live. And this is what I was saying about the responses, because your responses is your creative zone. You know, where you respond from, the quality of your response is really where you are activating yourself as creator, basically. So that's where it is for me. It's kind of like really paying attention to the creative zone, and also paying attention to nothing is fixed, everything is being created in and of the moment. And so what is, you know, what is the mechanics of my creation right now, and what is the mechanics of the creation between us right now, you know?
Exactly. That's exactly why I invited you here, to give us a guided meditation activation, whatever happens, to help everybody with that. That's exactly it. Tash, I just want to ask you, is there anything you can do with your microphone? Maybe shield it a little bit. We're getting quite a lot of background interference sometimes with wind and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But it can't be helped when you're on a gorgeous island.
Yeah, I'm
in
just
the
thinking
Caribbean.
how do I do that? Maybe come a bit closer. Yeah, I'm sort of like, I love being outside, but if it's unbearable, then I can move.
It's not unbearable. I think everyone
Okay.
just bear with us, because it's wonderful to look at you where you are right now, and you're just perfect. So Tash, I'm just going to give the space to you, sweetheart. Take us in.
Okay. So just breathing, filling the lungs as you're breathing in, emptying them completely as you're breathing out. Bringing your attention to the base of your spine and noticing how consciousness is activation. So wherever your consciousness goes, you activate the energy there. You give presence to the energy there. So bringing presence to the base of your spine. At the base of your spine, there's a seed that was planted. There was a seed that was planted at your conception as a human form. That seed contains your divine essence, your divine blueprint. And as you place your awareness and your attention onto your divine seed, just witnessing as it lights up from the inside. And that light begins to emanate, filling your pelvis, moving down your thighs, your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet. And bringing an activation into the earth beneath you. Just taking a moment to breathe and to witness. Bringing your attention back up to the base of your spine and just witnessing this energy, this light moving up through your belly, filling your navel point and your abdominals, moving up through your chest, filling your heart space, moving down into the arms, the hands, the fingers. Witnessing this energy moving through the throat, through the head space, all the way up to the top of your head. So from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, you are filled with light containing your divine essence, your divine blueprint. And just making a note here that this is literally you consciously coming to the light that already is within you. And it's consciously activating what already is. And I always sort of bring the attention to the fact that you didn't have to go outside of yourself in any way to activate this. It's just about bringing presence to what already is. At the top of your head, just witnessing a laser beam of light moving to about 500 feet above your head. Imagining a 50-story building, connecting you to your soul, to your higher self, connecting you to those elements of yourself that are non-physical, that are eternal, that are boundless, that are infinite. Just breathing and witnessing. So I love being outside here in the Caribbean, but being outside means that there's all of these live noises of wind rustling through trees and birds. And there's a school in the back, so there's children every now and again. And this is a quiet road, but there's an occasional car. So just allowing all of this to integrate into this meditation. Because one of the things that I would say is coming forward for me more and more. And certainly when Tara invited me into this particular meditation as a conclusion to 2020 and an opening to 2021, is that basically physicality has come more and more into my realm. And so as soon as she sort of invited me in, I was seeing bringing soul into physicality. And quantum activation is really about bringing infinity into the physical, bringing the aspects of infinity into the physical where you know that anything is possible. And when we get into physical, we get into a certain level of, let's say, messiness. Because sometimes when we get into the physical, it doesn't necessarily always follow linear. Doesn't always follow expectations. It doesn't always follow what we think should be happening or what we dream would happen. And yet when we're present to it, when we're present to what's there, we understand and know that our soul is calling forward what is necessary for this time and this space. So at this point, we've got Reggae Man on his bike going past with his music. Completely unexpected. And then we've got somebody else who's clapping at their heart's content. Completely unexpected. And this is a world that we live in, a world of complete and utter unexpectations, you know? And it's then, how do you maneuver through that? How do you ride those waves? How do you live those things out? Do they completely displace you? Do they uproot you from where you are? Do they give you the storyline that nothing ever works for me, or nothing ever goes right for me? Do they agitate you? Or do you integrate it into what's going on? You know? And quantum potentials, the field of quantum potentials means literally that the way I see quantum potentials is that when I tune into soul, when I tune into my soul, and when I tune into anybody else's soul, so I'll invite you to tune into your soul, there's an aspect of you that is experiencing what you're experiencing right here, right now. It's that aspect of you has your name, has your experiences, has your life, has your story, has all the things that make you up. And to a large extent, to keep things very simple, very many of us just stay with that avatar element. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We didn't come here, for some people, they didn't come here to be distracted by other things. They just came here to be integrated into the human life. But I'm assuming you being here and you being present to a meditation on the quantum field and how it plugs into the soul element means that there's something more expansive that's happening for you. Otherwise, your soul wouldn't have guided you here. So just opening up, breathing and receiving. So when we look at quantum field and we look at the soul element, we are looking at different aspects of us that are in different times and spaces simultaneously. There's a you that's here now, but quite equally, you can access other aspects of yourself that are in different planes of existences, and also might be in out of planes of existences and in the quantum field itself, in the universal field itself. So in that way, you're formless. You're just frequency. Breathe and receive. And so opening up to the quantum field and opening up to the quantum field through soul mission is being present to all of these aspects of yourself, and being present to these aspects from a state of absolute flow. And what does that mean? It means that there's elements of yourself that your soul will bring into your realm whenever it is that you need it. So that's one of the relationships that you build with your soul. That whatever is needed in this moment, in this now moment, will be made available to you. Whether that be resource, whether that be another person, whether that be an aspect of your own self, an aspect of your own expression. And this is where you might find that you turn up somewhere empty, and you're filled with something that you didn't even realize you had the capacity to be filled with. Where does this aspect come from? It comes from the infinity of you. It couldn't come from the intelligence of an aspect of you that isn't in this current time and space. So just to give you an example, there's an aspect of me that I call Zook, which is very much formless, very much fluid, very much vibrational, and has the language of vibration very, very down pat. And also very much not tethered to time and space. So ultimately, there's an element where it can dart out and be somewhere else and come back and be right here. And I can get that sense of the infinite, of being across time and space, or also straddling 2 times in spaces or 3 times in spaces. And so when I allow myself to open up to this aspect of who I am, immediately I am blessed with fluidity. I'm blessed with words that I might not have been available to previously. I'm blessed with a movement and a fluidity in movement. I'm blessed with consciousness and consciousness that comes out in breath and vibration. And I'm also blessed with sound vibration. And this is where light language or just soul sound can come from. And so I'm saying this to say that you too will have different aspects of yourself that are available to you on a soul level. And it's just opening out to those aspects, opening out to what could be present for you. So there's that element. And the other element that's coming forward as well in the midst of this, particularly for this time and space, where we've got coronavirus and we've got all of the plethora of opinions, all of the plethora of experiences that everyone's having in this time and space over a global pandemic. Some of it around conspiracy, some of it around mind control, some of it around freedom, some of it around great openings, some of it around activation, some of it around soul connections, some of it around rooting into independence and rooting into greater freedom. We're all having all of these experiences. And in the midst of living in a linear reality, the question becomes, what experience are you rooting into? What experience are you plugging into? And is that experience opening things up for you, or is that experience shutting you down? Is that experience allowing you to go into the world and meet the world from your divine self with divinity in the space between the divine on the other side of you? Or is it building a wall between you and divinity, and thus creating contraction and creating a world of bars, let's say, that are of your own making? So when we're speaking quantum, we're speaking about a freedom that's available to you, but that freedom has to be coming from a perspective where you've got choice, and that choice has to be where you can actually see all of the possibilities, or at least enough of the possibilities that when you're choosing something that is expansive and something that is opening you out, something that is coming from heart space and coming from love, or coming from, this divine consciousness, divine expansiveness.
Tash, could you guide us into that?
Absolutely.
I would absolutely love it. Maybe something around, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
Could you guide us into that? Because I think
Absolutely.
everybody listening would absolutely love to know what that feels like, and be able to see those different strands, or choose that flow strand that you were saying, where you can receive that flow, you can receive whatever you need in that moment, which I think would be super helpful.
Absolutely. So just coming into breath, coming into breathing from the diaphragm. And we already sent a laser beam of light up through the crown, connecting to the quantum field, connecting to limitless choices. This laser beam that we send up connecting to limitless choices just brings a paradigm in that you have limitless choices. It just brings the idea in that the choice that you're seeing at the moment isn't the only choice that you have. And that when you open to limitless choices, suddenly there are a number of different things available to you in this now moment. So just breathing and receiving. This is very much a language of the soul. And it's also the language that we're gifted with in terms of being in flow. But it's not always a language that our world invites us to be in. So this is something that you really have to tap into your own self, bringing in that sort of sense of limitless possibilities, limitless choices. What does that look like when you're being present to maybe just one choice? So that's the first thing, the paradigm of limitless possibilities, limitless choices. And then the second thing that's opening up here is that when you're facing what you consider to be one choice, or when you're facing what you consider to be one particular situation, that situation has basically got polar opposites to it. And you will be experiencing something along the line of those polar opposites. When we are rooting into time-space continuum, when we're rooting into physical life, we actually then come into this polarity element that eventually can become a circle. But when we're looking at it from a particular experience, we're looking at it from polarity. So we're looking at it from, say you're having an experience that feels very contracted. So say that you are experiencing something where the choice has been taken away from you. And so let's say coronavirus and everything that's going on with that. And it feels like we don't have a choice, like, you know, it's been dictated, something is being dictated to you. And so presently you're sitting with that contracted element of the choices have been removed. And now you open up into the quantum field and you open up to your soul's guidance into what it looks like to have limitless choices from this place that feels really contracted. And then you're breathing and you're receiving. And immediately you're brought to the polarity of what's going on. And you're brought to the fact that you are in a particular zone on that pole of polar opposites, basically. So if there's one side where there's freedom, and then there's the other side where there's no choice, there's no freedom, you're somewhere in that pole, you know, in line with those polar opposites. So just breathing and receiving. Because that's when you start to feel into where your choice points are along this pole. Breathing and receiving. And your soul is always, as soon as you're present, your soul is always rushing in to fill in the gaps, to show you just how much choice you have along there. So just taking that contracted element where somebody is making a decision for you and you don't feel that you have any choices. There's a choice in how you choose to see it. There's a choice in how you choose to be with it. There's a choice in terms of what energy you're surrounding yourself with as a result of this. There's a choice in terms of what frequency you're pulling towards you as a result of this. Is that frequency opening you out, or is that frequency contracting even more? There's a choice in terms of opening up to the frequency of freedom or opening up to the frequency of contraction. There's a choice in terms of what you're rooting into and what you're standing in, so the quality of your stance. There's a choice to love, or there's a choice to be separate, to isolate. There's a choice to box in or a choice to open out. There's a choice to see the divine in the person in front of you. There's a choice to see where their contractions are and where maybe their contractions are being projected to you. There's a choice to see in that space where there's contraction that's being projected, that space couldn't be existing if there wasn't a contraction somewhere inside that's responding to that contraction, and in essence calling that contraction forward. There's a choice to heal. There's a choice to feel into that contraction and open it out. There's a choice to be at cause in your environment. There's a choice to standing a certain frequency that emanates from you, that it affects and infects your entire environment. There's a choice of stance and presence. There's a choice of divinity. There's a choice of recognizing that divine and divinity permeates every single thing. So out of one choice of contractedness, we've now come to the soul's multitude of choices. And these choices can take you into a linear progression, or it could be something that is more fluid. And when I speak of Zouk, for example, Zouk's that would be very fluid. It will be very much a moment to moment, feeling into what the moment is requiring and then responding out of that. And knowing that this game of even having a moment to respond into is a game that I've bought into by being human. And literally it is a game. Just breathing and receiving. So I'm going to invite you to open up to the different soul aspects of your own self. I will introduce you to just a couple of my own soul aspects to give you an idea of what this might look and feel like. A lot of people speak of guides and ascended masters and angels. And this was certainly my entry point into understanding that we had capacity to communicate with frequencies and with energy forms that were seemingly outside of us. And in the spiritual journey, a lot of us have made that journey where we've begun with the communication of spiritual forms that seemingly were outside of us. As I've gone along in my own spiritual progression, the thing that's come forward is that when I tune into my soul has a multitude of expressions. Some of those expressions are very attuned to this time and space. Some of those expressions are attuned to other times and spaces. I don't need to know all of the expressions because the expressions are a multitude of expressions. But what has come forward for me are 5 elements in this present time and space that I've been rooting into and working with, that has been bringing a lot more expansiveness into how I relate to this time and space. So I'll give you, for example, I've introduced you to Zouk, which is that formless element. There's another element of me called Unya, which is a very old woman who she feels like she lives in a place that looks very much like untouched land. It looks very much like Hawaii or somewhere like that. It's not of this time and space, but it has a lot of similarities to this time and space. And she's very, very, very attuned to earth and very rooted in earth energy. And she has this capacity within her that she's so rooted to her divinity that she doesn't fear darkness. So she can maneuver herself into the night, into the blackest of night, and her foot as it meets the earth is sure. It's supported, and she has no doubt of that support. And so when I tune into her, I immediately get this real rooted grounding in the belly of me. A sort of grounding that is not a posturing kind of like I don't fear anything. It's actually a fearlessness that is in the core of my being that says I recognize everything as divine and I am supported by divine. Just breathe and receive. There's another element of me, Anaya, who basically lives in a place that is high frequency, highly futuristic spiritual environment that she has created. And so what she brings me into is a more refined element of frequency and a more refined element of tapping into frequency, tapping into vibration. The ways that she works with energy is from a deep-seated knowing. So to give you an example, one of the rooms that she works out of is made of pure crystal. And so whenever anybody goes into that room and they lie on her treatment table, they are blessed with a pulsing vibration of earth energy that is of a specific frequency and that is mineral coded with frequency that is then changing the dynamics of the energy that the person is holding at the core of their cells. And then she goes in with mantra, she goes in with sound, she goes in with particular codes that are more linear in nature that allow those codes to go even deeper into the cellular structure. I would never have any words for this on my own if it wasn't for pulling out of these storylines that have been coming forward from my own soul. And all of these soul aspects, they recognize me and I recognize them. And there's an element where they come in and out. And I could only imagine that basically there was a readiness on my part where there's not a sense of overwhelm with any of this. There's more a sense of real deep-seated honoring for the gifts that my soul has for me and how it allows me to maneuver in this time and space where I am in this time and space, but not of this time and space. We speak about this a lot, but this is what really it's come to mean to me. And so there's an opening for you to tap into your own soul aspects and to bring that level of groundedness and rootedness in, where there's a level of expansiveness and a level of intelligence that's coming to you that is influencing you in this time and space, but is far beyond this time and space. So just breathing and receiving. And so what I'm going to invite you to do now is to bring that laser beam back down into your crown. And with it, bring the awareness of everything that we've spoken about, everything that you've been shown through this journey, everything that we've spoken about in terms of living and being in the world with its unknowns and its unexpectedness, and your responses to that, and what it means to be not of this world, where you're interconnected to the quantum field and interconnected to information and intelligence that goes way past where you are. And as this laser beam comes down into the center of the mind, just witness this light coming into the heart space And from the heart space emanating to every single cell of your being is intelligence that is available to you whenever it is that you need it. And just opening out for more and more of a relationship with your soul, so this intelligence can become yours in your day-to-day walk. Just breathing and receiving. And when you're ready, just opening your eyes and coming back into where we are right now. So Tara, so many things went on the sound vibrational level here.
You know, that's kind of what I loved about it as well. It's like, you know, it reminded me of a stringed instrument, and that's how I relate to my soul. It's like a string, and you did it really beautifully with that visualization going up, and a string picks up every little whisper, every little tiny vibration around it. And it was like, yeah, being played in a way by all of the words, all of the suggestion, all of the invitation, all of the sounds and everything. And just being able to notice the whole range of frequency. And thank you, sister. What I got from that was that we have a choice. Obviously much more than that, but we have a choice. What we actualize, what we make real with our focus, and we can slide it up and down on that string.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's an incredible reminder. So all of you who are present and listening, I hope that you enjoyed that, and I hope that was helpful. Please share what happened for you. Did you have a realization? What's your choice, first and foremost? As you take this being that you are right now in this moment, where you're sitting right now, and even bring your hands and acknowledge your physical you, where are you taking you? With what energy, with what vibration, with what realizations and aspects of your soul are you walking into your life from here on in? What are you creating? And as you said, every time you use breathe and receive, Tash, which, as you know, is like step one of I love you, it's breathing and receiving. But every time you invited us to breathe and receive, and it's like, oh yeah, what's coming through? What wants to come through when we open and leave space for our soul to come through? What comes through? Where are you being guided by your own soul knowledge, your own soul wisdom? It's so incredibly beautiful. That's what I felt from that.
Beautiful.
And I'd love everyone to share in the group what you're feeling. If you're watching on YouTube, please put comments in, because I do come and read all of them, and I'll share it with Tash so Tash can read. If you want to get a hold of Tash, it's tashmitch.com.
Yes.
If you want to reach her on Facebook, she's on Tash Mitch. Anywhere else, Tash, people can find you?
Yeah, Instagram again is Tash Mitch. You know, I'm Tash Mitch everywhere.
Yeah, it's handy.
Yeah. Yes,
well,
it is very handy.
Well, I love you're keeping it real, Tash. Keeping it real.
Yes, absolutely. You know, as I was saying before, lots of love to you. How do you pronounce this?
I think it's Iona.
Iona.
I'm guessing it's Iona because she's from Scotland. Thank you, Iona.
Fabulous. Yes, bringing it into the physical, bringing it into the reality, bringing it into the here and now for sure is definitely where it is. Yeah.
All right, and with that, I was losing you. Your internet is fading. We had a perfect window.
Lots of love.
Yeah, lots of love to you. And I'll see you all on Thursday for the Self-Love Talks. Loads of love, everybody.